Dubber Corporation has been listed for over a year now on the ASX. We transformed the call recording industry. The call recording industry is a growing industry with two main players. One of them is worth $5.5 billion and the other one's $7.5 billion, and we hope to meet them somewhere on the journey coming from a different angle. And our angle is that we actually revolutionise the industry. So every single provider in that industry today relies on hardware and licenses, and that propagates one user case, that being to determine what's actually being said on a phone call. Whereas where Dubber is different is we believe that voice data is the last piece of data that's ever been captured. We think it's the most content rich, and we think there are lots of monetization opportunities for ourselves, for our end users, and also for the telcos with whom we actually partner, which is part of our distribution platform. Traditionally, there's only one user case, which is to actually determine what's on a phone call. That's due to the fact that there are technical limitations, and so therefore it's almost axiomatic in that the technology is built for the user case and the user case is driven by the technology. We go to a telco and say, record your entire base. And the first challenge is actually getting them to realise why they'd want to do that. So typically a telco will plan on recording between 2 and 5% of its business customers in order to capture revenues from financial services and call centres. We believe that every single business will at some point want to use their data for positive monetisation reasons in order to develop relationships, capitalise on revenues, and we think that voice data is even more important than the written data that everyone uses and relies on today. Well, what we've built and the philosophy is all about the world's most scalable recording platform. So we can actually record millions, in fact unlimited amounts of calls, and we're about bringing recordings into a platform rather than actually clearing out a platform to free up storage. So once you actually determine that philosophy, there's one source of the call, and that's on the telcos. So the telcos carry voice traffic. In fact, it's their DNA. So what we say to a telco is, today there are phone calls being made, you should be capturing that voice data, and whether it's today, 5 years, 10 years time, somebody's going to actually build something that's going to want to use it, monetize it, develop revenue streams for your business, and also user experience for the end user as well. So one of the key elements of our platform is the fact that it's deployed quickly. So for telcos, they're used to long scoping periods, long testing periods. It's very capital expenditure intensive. We can go to a telco and say that we can connect to your entire customer base in 1 day or less than 1 day, and there's no capex, it's all opex. In fact, to test it doesn't cost anything at all. So we cut through the procurement process at the start. Obviously, when you're talking to large telcos around the world, that procurement process can then elongate as they onboard and build into their own platforms and systems to get it out to their end users. So the whole telco sector's in transition. Core revenues are down, which is obviously the core revenues, and all telcos are looking for value-added services. Now they've got unified communications platforms, and the idea of a UC platform is it captures the call flow and then enables these value-added services to be overlaid. Unfortunately, commercially at the moment, the telcos around the world sell UC as a software as a service pricing cap plan to replace traditional costs. We're one of the few products that's actually built as a value-added service that sits inside that platform, and typically with us it would be with a company called Broadsoft, which have 600 telcos around the world. And we fit seamlessly within that process, whereby customers can just be turned on instantly rather than actually order the service, have on-premise equipment and delays. And what that means for us is we can offer a variety of services. First of all, we can offer the traditional always-on recording, which is good for call centre financial services, but we can also offer on demand, whereby any customer can record any call they want, literally as they require it. And in order to be able to do that, truly, you need to enable the entire customer base, and we're the only platform in the world that can do that. The ultimate expression of that is that we've developed a product which really sits on mobile networks, which will revolutionise the way people use mobile phones, and that's our Dubber Playback product. Double Playback revolutionises the way you use your mobile. So what it actually does, in Australia we have a pay TV service called Foxtel, where there's a management tool called IQ which allows you to rewind, fast forward, pause, resume your TV show, and it's standard throughout the world on pay TV. What we're able to do is actually provide the same functionality for your actual phone call. So the user case is, I'm in the car, I take a phone call from a number I don't recognise, I have no idea what the content of that call is. It could be valuable to me, it could be a sales call, it could be just somebody who's misdialed me. I determine very quickly there's actual value in this phone call. My two options at the moment are to either offer to call the person back using the CLI that I've captured on my phone, or send them my contact details and ask them to reiterate the conversation in an email or a future conversation. With Double Playback, I can actually, at the end of the call, go back into the call. I've got all the information there, again, content-rich data. I can share it with the person I've just actually had the conversation with, and it saves time, it saves money, and I can integrate it into my workflow as well. On a personal level, and the one I would use it for is, whether it be my kids calling me and something happens in a phone call and I want to actually keep that and share it with my wife, or probably the other way around, when my wife calls me and asks me to pick up a whole load of groceries on the way home, normally I pull the trolley out, call her back, go through the grocery list again. Now I can actually have the call with all the content in it, and I don't need to call her back. So if you take it that we have 3 products in the market today, the first one is call recording, which is always on. Where we're different to your average provider is that we're totally OPEX on a per monthly charge, and that would go through a telco provider who would on bill it as part of a bill to a customer. With on demand, of course, you can pick and choose which phone calls you wish to record, and there are transactional revenues there. Same with playback as well. So for a product manager of a telco who's normally faced with one solution in terms of pricing, he can build models, he can bundle playback or on demand into existing plans, he can bundle it up as part of an offering that drives new user cases and new customers and new revenues. So for the telco product manager, it's actually a dream, whereas with current offerings, he literally takes a wholesale price and rebrands it into a retail price. So Telenor contacted us and we had a very short timeline. We've actually delivered the service in less than 10 weeks, and that includes deploying it for testing, all the commercial terms, and into production with the end user, which is a global retail client that everybody would know. And this is larger numbers that we're talking about as well. So from Telenor's perspective, and I think one of the most telling things in the announcement was that they gave us a quote whereby they said that with anyone else it would have taken months or years to deploy a recording platform. With us, they connected the day we met them, they tested it the following day, we were up and running in 8 to 10 weeks. The target for this year is pretty clear. It's a land grab for Dubber, and the land grabbing involves partners, which in our case is telcos, and also technologies. So we set a target earlier on in the year where we'd get 20 telcos contracted. So that's our target for this year, and I think next year it's about squeezing revenue out of those 20 telcos, and depending on which telcos they are, depends the strategy as well. Obviously we think we'll multiply sales next year, but very much this year it was about making sure that we open up new user cases, we spread the word in terms of availability across entire telco bases, and we got those telco partners on board. So at the end of the year, I think we're pretty comfortable that we'll have built that land grab. I think that's how the company should be judged this year in terms of its ability for acquisition. I think next year it's a revenue proposition, and we already have significant revenues under contract, which will see us in good stead. But this year really is about, well, if I look at the last 3 announcements, for example, we did an announcement recently with MyNetphone, and that opened up new user cases in Australia whereby anybody with old technology can now record calls. Never been available before. We last week announced a deal with Symmetric, whereby it provides mobile-to-mobile calling, including international roaming. Again, a fantastic technological solution. And this week we've actually validated it all with one of the world's largest telcos. So it's not just about getting the telco partners, which we have a target for, but it's making sure that the technological partnerships we have as well deliver a product that is on a mass market to a myriad of users. One of the challenges of being in our industry is actually the marketing of it, and a particular challenge is if you put cloud call recording into Google, there are hundreds of them, and some of them have done fantastic websites that probably explain what we do better than we do it ourselves. The issue, frankly, is that all those providers are actually hosted, so it's still a hardware and licensed solution. It just happens to be hosted in a data center and served out on a limited multi-tenant basis. We're literally true native cloud, and we can expand to run calls, millions of calls at any one time. So an average technology may enable 250 to 400 concurrent calls per server. We've stress tested 250,000 at any one time through a telco partner in South Africa, and it can go across multiple continents as well in the same telco base. I think the whole philosophy of Dubber from the start was to actually build a platform that captured voice data in massive proportions. At the end of the day, we've come out as a call recording company, a transformative one. We now run an expression of that which is on demand, and a much fuller expression which is playback, and that demonstrates our scale. If you ask me where Dubber will be if we're successful, it will be where there's a small business is able to take call recording off its telco partner and capture the data to really improve its business, whether it be to resolve disputes or hopefully to sit in workflow. So let's take the smallest possible business. A pizza shop in London can record calls because it's got a PCI compliance tool. It can have sentiment analysis, both of which are products we are pushing, whereby it knows what its customer feedback is. And then the development world outside will build all these applications which will add value for that data over the coming years. That's what Dubber truly is about. But in order to do that, you've got to capture the data, and that's why we come out as a call recording company to start with.